Hey everybody, David from Flash by V Cycle Nut. Just wanted, I'm not normally a travel channel and kind of feels weird, but I just got back from a trip to Thailand where I rented a motorcycle, traveled around the country, went to the Moto GP race, and when I was preparing for it, there wasn't a lot of information online that I could find with some tips and tricks and all that good stuff to make the trip a little easier. So since I got back, this stuff's all fresh in my mind. I'll bore you with a bunch of pictures of my trip and talk about some of the things that I think would help you if you're going to do a trip like this. First thing I'll say is, if you're thinking about this, do it. It was a great trip. The MotoGP race was awesome. Thailand was really cool. Traveling around by motorcycle around Thailand was even cooler. So the first thing I'll give you is where I rented my motorcycle from, and that's a BSR. They're right in Bangkok, so it's convenient to fly in. You rent your bike. They have smaller bikes in Bangkok. You don't really need a big bike. Really, on the highways, didn't have a lot of opportunities to really go more than like 65, 70 miles an hour. And the 500cc Honda that I rented, even two up with the bags, did do this. It was a little buzzy, but worked really well for Thailand, where it wouldn't work so well maybe in other places. Once you pick up your bike, you'll be in the middle of Bangkok, and now you got to navigate to wherever you're going. So just a couple little things. First, they drive on the left. So if you're like me, United States, we drive on the right. Riding on the left was a little weird, right? And it's really kind of nuts riding. I've lane split plenty of times. Been to California, been across Europe, did a lot of lane splitting. But it's even a whole different level. And basically, if there's free pavement, you can take it. Now, it's really weird when you start riding and people take the free pavement next to you and you're like, hey, what the hell are you doing? That should be my space. But you got to be really on the ball because people will take that space. And if you take that space on somebody else, they won't get mad at you. So you have to be kind of in a passive aggressive, really be on the ball and take the space where it's given. Something that is really cool about that is if you pull up to a traffic jam, you're driving down the road, pulling up, and there's a light and everybody's backed up, just go right to the left. Go right to the shoulder. People use the shoulder all the time. As a matter of fact, some people who use the shoulder go in the other way. So it really, the way that there are multiple different types of vehicles. You'll see scooters with families on them, everybody with no helmets and flip-flops. People turn sideways on bikes. And they'll be kind of going down the shoulder to the far left. And you'll have big work vehicles that really can't keep up with traffic, and they'll be on the left side too. And then everybody just kind of moves around swim lanes around it on the right and stays to the left as much as possible. When you're on one of the more major highways, there will be newer cars that are cruising 80 miles an hour or so, but in general, they're not as common as you might think. It's more of the slower vehicles. You will also get people in the shoulder going the wrong way if they only got to do it for a bit. So you got to be really on the ball, be aggressive, take them spaces, and it gets kind of fun after you get used to it. On the bike with the bags and somebody on back, it did make it a little harder to get through some of the spaces that you could get through on like an even smaller bike or a scooter. But I did, by the end of the trip, really get to enjoy the aggressiveness that I got to have on the bike in traffic. My wife by the end wasn't so much enjoying it, but I was. So if you're cruising down the highway and you look over to the left and you see a sign that looks like this is a good place to stop. They're like a service center. They'll have a gas station, a 7-Eleven, a place to get coffee. Sometimes they have smaller places to eat. I do recommend, if you can, eat at a smaller little place. Some of the best food I had was little off the beaten path places that were really good. In a pinch, you can eat at 7-Eleven. I know what you're thinking, but it's not what you're thinking. They have a lot of things called a toasty, where it's basically like a grilled cheese sandwich in a bag, and you take it up to the counter, and they'll put it in like a sandwich press making machine for you, and at least you can get a grilled cheese sandwich, something to drink, and coffee. I did really love the Amazon iced coffee that they had there. Got kind of addicted to it and kind of missed it when I got back. So if you're on the road, you're traveling, you see that water drop sign, know that it's safe to stop and you can get everything you need. Price of gas is about the same as it was in the United States. Apparently it's subsidized by the Thai government to keep it reasonably priced, because people in Thai, the prices for them would be really expensive compared to us. They just are much poorer than we are. So the price of the dollar goes a long way. I spent about $300 in the first week and a half just traveling around in total. So you really can travel on the cheap if you want to once you're out of Bangkok. Bangkok's more expensive. It's a city, but still cheaper than the United States. But when you get off the beaten path, it really can get cheap. When you're traveling, don't be afraid to wing it. We had several days where we traveled all day. Generally, if you're used to putting down big miles, about 300, because of the lack of speed in travel and just where the bike kind of got some vibrations in it at higher speeds. About 300 was good. It got hot in the middle of the day, so you would take some breaks. But don't be afraid to wing where you're going to stay. What we did a few days was we would look at the map around lunchtime, pick a city that would be our goal, pull in to the city, use an app called Pagoda, and find a hotel that was near a street market and stuff. So a lot of times when you first pull into cities, again, Thailand's a lot poorer than other countries, especially the United States. So things are old. Don't let that turn you off into thinking that they're crappy and run down. A lot of places on the outside looked old, but were very clean and modern when you went inside of them. People took a lot of pride in keeping things cleanly, and people are nice. I didn't feel uncomfortable at any point as far as unsafe. And a couple of the cities that we stayed in, my initial impressions were like, ooh, because it looked dirty, but it really wasn't dirty. It was just old. So have some fun with it. Stay off the beaten path. We actually stayed in a couple hotels that were under $20 for the night and were very nice. Cross street from a food market or a night market. You walk over there, get some street food for a few dollars, and you can have a whole night for under $30-$40. Massages, we got lots of massages. An hour-long massage, somewhere between $9 and $15 American dollars. And they were all pretty good. Don't be afraid. I know when you watch a lot of YouTube videos, it's all about the sex and the, sex field, and you could everything you're worried about, stuff like that. It wasn't like that. It was if you went to certain areas like in Bangkok, but off the beaten path, the people are very respectful, and never once again during any of the massages did I feel uncomfortable or was worried about something like that. Couple things. Chang beer, that was my favorite local beer. It wasn't too bad. I did enjoy it. You can get Chang most places. Couple phrases that you could learn to make it easier for you. The only two things I learned to say the entire time I was there was hello and thank you. And hello is sawati krup if you're a guy, sawati ka if you're a female. Thank you is kap kun krup if you're a guy, and kap kun ka if you're a woman. If you know those two expressions, use your Google Translator. People are really nice. And I think they appreciate when you learn those couple phrases. And it just made communicating with people easier, and it was not hard to say. So, Kap Kun Krup. Thailand itself is a very diverse place. We didn't go all the way south to the real touristy stuff, but we did go to the rainforest, got to hang out with an elephant, the beautiful lake behind me. We stayed on a floating place in that. Really cool, really great experience. Highly recommend it. We were there at the end of October, early November, which is the end of the rainy season, but we did still hit some rain when traveling. Be prepared. We had both wore these mesh jackets that had just armor. They were definitely like a one crash and done, and we left them there. But they worked pretty well in keeping us comfortable, and I felt like if I went down, at least I had some protection. Remember, like I said, the speeds are a lot lower. You're not going to be hitting really high speeds. Most of the time, it's lower speeds. And it was a surprising lack of accidents that we saw based off how they drive when you first get there. Like I said, it might be a little culture shock, but it does get fun after a bit. The Moto GP race was awesome. The whole weekend was awesome. So, but I'll give you a couple tips and tricks, because when I first got there, I was a bit, a little stressed because it didn't work out exactly like I thought. So one thing, it was definitely a place where there was less people speaking English, the people that worked there. And so for me, like normally when I go to a racetrack, the first thing I do is when I get there, I go to the infield and I try to scope out that first day of like, where am I going to watch races? Where am I going to watch qualifying? Where do I get a good view? Well, there is no infield at the Chang International Circuit. Everything's in the grandstands. Buy the main grandstand ticket. If you sit in the main grandstand, at the top of it, you can literally see the whole track. And then there was a couple of the large monitors, so you could switch your vision from the track to the monitor and really get a great idea of what was going on. Really that was cool. There was not a lot of traffic going in and out of the track any of the days. Motorcycle had special parking. There were some cool bikes there, like this Rothman's. And so there was definitely a huge motorcycle community there. Like I said, the number of scooters and motorcycles on the road is just insane, especially when you're in the cities. And the crowd was really enthusiastic, really a lot of fun to hang out with them and watch the race. Some caught Chantra, put it on the podium. That was cool. Everybody was losing their mind. Really was a cool experience. by the main grandstand in that infield, or not in the infield, but in the area where you walk in by the main grandstand was where most of the things were set up. So if you're going to get food, you're going to get drinks, you just want to go look at the tents, go by that main grandstand entrance and you will find all that stuff. So food at the track. So that, again, it was by the entrance to the main grandstand. They had a big tent that had lots of different choices. Different choices of food that were all I enjoyed. I wouldn't say the food was great, but it definitely was good and enjoyable with lots of different choices. Be bold. If you like spicy foods, you'll be right up your alley. If you don't, be careful of any dish that has a bunch of little peppers in it. You'll see red peppers. If you can see the peppers, it's hot, like really hot. So caution with that. Water, drink lots of water. It's hot. Even like I said, we were in October, November. It was still really hot. Stay hydrated on the bike and when you're at the track. So that's all I got. Nothing too crazy, but thanks for watching. Again, if you're thinking about doing this trip, definitely do it. Well worthwhile. The racetrack was great. The Thai people are amazing. I don't know that I'll go back to Thailand because there's a lot of places I want to see, but I would definitely would enjoy it, and it's definitely on the list of something that we might do in our future travels. So good luck if you make the trip. Let me know if you've made Thailand trip before and any tips or tricks that I may have missed that other readers can check on.